broadcasting. Touchdowns. Shut your mouth, broadcasting. First round draft pick. Believe we got stats, kid. Quarterback sacking. 100-yard dashing. So tap in for the action. What teams got traction?
Welcome to the Sim Podcast. I'm your co-host, Eric, and I'm always joined by my co-host, Ron. What up, Ron?
What's going on?
You know what we do? We talk about the National Football League on a weekly basis, including the playoffs. Ron, this is the last game. We're here. This is a Super Bowl. I don't know what else to say. This is sad, but at the same time, you're excited. It's a lot of different emotions. How do you feel about this being the last game of the season?
It's I'm fine with it. I've come to, the realization that the season's at an end here. It's been at an end for a few weeks now for the Steelers anyways, and even longer for the Patriots. So I'm already, like I mentioned, I think, in off-season mode. I've been paying a lot of attention to what, is going down in the Senior Bowl, and the Prime Bowl, and kind of seeing what move the team might make, what they're doing right now with the coaching situation on the team and stuff like that. So I'm already in off-season mode. This game here, I'm looking forward to it. I don't like either team, and we'll talk more, I guess, about the game itself. So, I'll try to enjoy. I'm sure I'll enjoy the game, but I don't have a stake in the race or anything like that, so I can care less who wins.
Yeah, this is more or less a celebration of loving football, loving what this means, enjoying it with the friends and family and all that. So we'll talk about the Super Bowl, we'll talk about our picks, we'll talk about the teams. But first, we always start with NFL news. And Ron, last week was a Pro Bowl, and it was my first Pro Bowl. Granted, I had to work, but it was my first Pro Bowl, and there was a couple of observations I made. I even wrote them down because I was like, there's no way that this is happening right now. So, first of all, I want to start off by saying the NFL knows how to indoctrinate kids, right?
Oh, yeah.
It must have been, first of all, it was a full house. I don't know how 50,000 people fit in there, but I'm going to say that it was 70% kids.
Yeah.
And it was great, seeing all those children and having like a different shirt and jersey and team player. Hey, listen, you gotta teach them young, right? So I like that a lot. The other observation is the Florida teams actually came out.
Really?
Like the Tampa Bay Bucks were there, Jacksonville Jaguars were there, but far and away the most was the Miami Dolphins. I don't know. I guess they travel well. I don't know, but there was a lot of Miami Dolphin fans. The other thing that I saw was CJ Stroud. He's a real deal. This dude.
What made you think he's a real deal?
During warm-ups, he was on the dot. When he got put into the flag football game, he was on the dot. He made a couple of throws that you were just like, wait, what? No, I know. Now I know that it's flag football, it's not a real game, but the fact that he was making these throws accurately without like really exerting himself, I was like, wow.
Yeah.
The Texans have something with him.
That's good.
The other thing that I observe is during warm-ups, and this is something that I always complain. This is why I don't watch college football. Every pass was caught. Doesn't matter if it was high, if it was low, if it was, you would watch it and you were like, oh, that's too high. Nope, caught. Oh no, that's too low. Nope, caught.
They're professionals,
I was like, this is the best of the best. It was very satisfying because now one ball hit the ground, and I was just like, this is how it should be all the time. But I know they didn't have to show the pads and blah blah blah.
It's like that. You said you don't watch college, right? But it's exactly like that when it comes to NFL preparation. So when these kids, the quarterbacks, get into like their pro days and stuff like that, and even at the combine,
No, not at the combine. I watched the combine.
They
don't
measure how many passes, or look at how many passes the receivers are dropping. And in most cases, the quarterbacks are like, 25 of 26 or 24, 25. Like none of the passes hit the ground.
I've seen the combine, and they're not as accurate as what I saw in the Pro Bowl.
More so the pro, their pro day, because they're throwing to receivers that are on their team that they're familiar with, stuff like that. Whereas a combine, they're throwing to a bunch of guys they're not familiar with. But that's the difference, right, between NFL caliber players and most college play, even the top college players. There's a lot of top college players that don't make the NFL. NFL is the best of the best.
Yeah, it was very, very satisfying to see, and it was just warm-ups. So I was just like, wow, this is great. The last thing that I want to say is, listen, there was no Patriot players at the Pro Bowl, which, hey, you have a 4-13 season, that's going to happen, right? But I want to point out, son. So I don't know if this was on TV, so maybe it wasn't, but every NFL team sent a cheerleader to represent them, right?
Okay.
Whether, and they were like, oh, this person embodies our community, and, it shows great team spirit, whatever, blah, 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 and they were great. They were doing backflips, dancing on the beats. When it came to the New England Patriots, they sent a dude. Now, listen.
Are you serious?
I'm dead serious, because I even remember his name. His name is Driss.
Did you get to meet him and everything?
I didn't get to meet him, but listen. I know that there's some thresholds, and I know that you're very progressive, especially up in New England. And I was like, now you cannot send a dude going forward. If a dude is on the cheerleading team, you gotta send that guy.
Why?
Because I feel like, I don't know if there was an FU to the leagues, like, hey, we're just gonna send a guy. I mean, he has skills. He was on B. He had a lot of team spirit, I guess, but there was only a couple of Patriot fans there, and I went out of my way to be like, how do you feel about the Patriots sending a cheerleading guy? And most of them were just like, Patriots are gonna Patriots, man. And I seen him. Like, I seen this guy, and if a family members listen to him, he has an open invitation to this podcast, because I just want to know, like, how did you get this job? And let me just say this, Ron. I did notice him way back in September when I went for that Tom Brady ceremony, and I was just like, oh, the Patriots have a male cheerleader. Hey, you see it in college all the time, but I just never seen a pro team have a male cheerleader on the squad. So I was like, it was my first time at the Pro Bowl, and it was also my first time seeing this guy. His name is Dress. I was just never gonna forget his name, because I was just like, okay, I see what the Patriots are doing. They just saying, hey, Roger Goodell, fuck you. We're gonna send this dude.
Maybe the guy deserves it too, right?
I'm sure he probably earned it, but the fact is that I'm sure there were other people on the team, and they chose this guy, and I was just like, hey, more power to you, man. More power to you. All right.
What do you think of, like, the activities and everything else? So you were there just for the game, though, right? For the most part.
I was there. The game wasn't until 3. I was there like at 8 o'clock. I don't know why they want us there so early. We saw the festivities. We saw the, at the end of the game when they were giving out the trophy. We saw it all. The only thing, like, I was under the impression that they play through, like, hey, quarter 1, quarter 2, halftime, quarter 3, quarter 4. But no. I haven't watched it in a long time. They actually, after the first quarter, they stop and they have some kind of physical challenge. It was like watching, like the Saturday mornings when you watch the American Warriors.
Yeah.
It was just like that. It was like, what's going on right now? And like they award them points, and that's why it was so high. It was like,
right.
59-52, the final. I was just like, okay, this is more like an entertainment.
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
hey, the family's here. Let's do this.
Yeah.
So, it is what it is. So it was, would I watch the game? No.
Yeah.
I will never watch the game. I only watch it because I had to work, but, I can see what's happened.
I did not watch 1 minute of the game or 1 minute of any of the festivities, like any of the events, none of it. All throughout the week, I just did not pay any attention.
It's for kids. It's for kids, and hey, more power to the NFL. The other set of news is Bieniemy is out in Washington. So, but not only is he out, but he doesn't even have a job. So what's the deal with this?
Yeah, it's not that big of a surprise. I don't think, right? I think we saw this coming. Once Rivera was gone, they said, okay. I don't know. Did they even interview Bieniemy? Give him an interview or anything? Like, no new coach was going to come in and say, okay, yeah, you keep being the coordinator. They're going to bring their own people in. So, it sucks that Bieniemy didn't get a chance to interview, or I didn't see him interview anywhere else. That goes to show you how many jobs were really open. Probably about 9, 10 offensive coordinator positions specifically, and he didn't get a chance. There's obviously something there. There has to be there. So
you think he's getting blackballed?
I just think his history, and I don't know much about his history, but from what I understand, he's a tough guy to get along with. The players, he rubs players the wrong way. He pushes and pushes and pushes and pushes. Sometimes players need that, but certain players don't. Get tired of that. So, but I did hear, I think it was today or yesterday, I read that Andy Reid said basically that, Bieniemy's future is great, and if you read the writing on the wall, he's basically saying Bieniemy will be on his staff like next season. I think he'll fall, have somewhere to land. So I'm not too concerned about it.
The other set of news, Ron, the players' union has spoken and they want grass over turf. Is this going to happen?
No, not at all. I think I heard today Goodell said, yes, there's some players who want turf. And he's
like, yeah, but it's 4% that want turf.
But yeah, and then apparently, and I don't know if this is true, but Pro Football Talk, what's the guy's name? He came out and said the players who said that, according to the players' union, were the kickers, right? The kickers are the ones who want turf, right? No one else wants turf. All the other players want grass. But listen, the NFL's in a tough situation. And again, you could talk about safety and all this other stuff. You're asking every single team to switch to grass. That's an expensive situation. They can afford it, right? These are billionaires we're talking about. But, they're not going to force, owners aren't going to, be forced to switch to grass anytime soon.
It's all about money.
Yes.
It's all about money. And I feel like if the players union are really serious about this, they would cut back on, okay, well, they play on grass, we'll bend the knee on something else, but they don't want to even do that. And the owners are like, no, we need the revenue from when we have concerts, we have other sporting events, when we have, whatever the case may be. They need the turf because they want to make money on that stadium when the players are not there. So this is, to me, bringing this up, I mean, yes, it's Super Bowl week, but bringing it up, right, it's not going to change overnight.
Yeah, I think turf is just cheaper at the end of the day, right? It might be more expensive initially, but it's not something you ever really have to replace. Grass, you constantly have to replace. So, owners don't want that additional expense and headache. So that's why teams have, for the most part, have gone to turf. So, like I said, NFL does not really, they can say they care about injuries all they want, but they don't. They care about the bottom line at the end of the day.
The other set of news is the Patriots are keeping a Belichick on staff. It's not Bill, of course. It's not Steve. It's Brian Belichick. So he's going to be defensive backs coach. Will it make a difference? I mean, they were a pretty good team last year. I guess he just didn't want to be unemployed, right?
Well, yeah.
It was either that or be unemployed.
Well,
So-
they decide to keep him, right? I don't know if he had much of a choice.
Well, they offered Steve a job, but he knew that he wasn't going to be a defensive coordinator, right? So he basically said, no, I want to be defensive coordinator. So he went to Washington.
Gotcha.
Brian Belichick, I feel like he knows his place. He wasn't really going to be offered another gig unless he stay there. So, yeah, I mean, if he does his job, he can stay.
Yeah.
Basically.
So Steelers, our quarterback coach, Andy Sullivan, we allowed him to go interview for offensive coordinators positions. We didn't obviously offer it to him. We went outside and went with Arthur Smith, but Sullivan participated, I think, in like 2 or 3 interviews. Didn't get a job. I think he was like one of the final candidates, but didn't end up getting the job. Well, he comes back. He's coming back to the Steelers as the quarterback coach. So, I think these teams look out. At least the head coaches tend to look out for the other coaches if it's their guys. If it's not their guys, like I mentioned before, like with the enemy situation, if it's not your guy, you're like, okay, thanks, but no thanks. We don't need you. I got somebody else I'm familiar with, I trust. Good luck, elsewhere, basically.
Yeah, basically, it's just, and it's like you said, it's the NFL is a lot. It's a lot about relationship, right? So you make a good relationship, you eventually stick with that guy, and he goes, you go. So basically, what it comes down to. And let's talk about the Super Bowl. Let's talk about these teams because we broke it down into the team rosters, and we looked at every position. So we'll just go through it really quickly. And we'll start with the number 1 position, which is a QB. Ron, who do you think has the advantage here?
Yeah, this one's easy. Mahomes is the better quarterback. He's probably is the best quarterback in the league. I think it's a big gap too between him and Purdy. And there's a lot of debate how good Purdy is. Is he a game manager or is he a good quarterback? I don't know where he fits. To me, he's somewhere average. But there's no question that Mahomes is the better quarterback, and they have an obvious advantage there.
Yeah, I agree. I think when you look at Pat Mahomes, he has the experience. He may not have the wide receivers like San Francisco, but the fact that he has Travis Kelce, he has Andy Reid backing him up, yeah, he's definitely has an advantage. Wide receivers, Ron, who do you think had the advantage?
Yeah, this one is a clear advantage here too, but this one is for San Francisco. Kansas City has had issues with their receivers all year. Now, it wasn't until recently that Rashee Rice has kind of turned out to be someone. But before then, it's been a struggle for them to find a receiver that they can trust. Now, I heard Sky Moore just got came off the injured reserve list, so maybe there's a chance he'll play. I don't know. But, San Francisco by far has a better receiving with Ayuk and Samuel.
Again, I agree because Ayuk, Samuels, then, you can throw Kittles in there. Then you can throw McCaffrey in there because he's just a bag that can catch the ball out of the field. So, Purdy has a lot of options. Mahomes doesn't have as many options, at least not that we've seen, but I'm sure he'll find a way. Running backs, Ron, who has the advantage here?
Yeah, as far as depth, I can maybe say Kansas City, but in terms of talent, like quality, it's for sure San Francisco. McCaffrey is the best back, probably the best player. We'll find out if he wins MVP. Best player in the entire league. So, yeah, McCaffrey by far. San Francisco has an advantage there.
Again, this is a layout because he was in the MVP conversations. I know Lamar, as we record this, they're announcing it, but it's going to be Lamar winning the MVP. But that doesn't mean McCaffrey, if McCaffrey's had MVP-like season, obviously, I expect, and we'll talk about our predictions. I expect Caffrey to get the ball a lot, and I mean a lot. Ron, tight ends, who you got?
So I went even across the board. I think both of these guys are good. I think Kelsey's probably slightly better than Kittle, but Kittle is a very, very talented, probably the second best tight end in the league. And it's, I don't think we can forget prior to the playoffs, Kelsey had a down year for Kelsey standards, right? It wasn't until he got into the playoffs he started to kind of explode again. So I think this is like both evenly matched teams in terms of like what the tight ends do. San Francisco actually probably uses the tight ends more than Kansas City does. So to me, I think it's even.
I want to say it's even, but I'm just going to give it to Travis Kelsey because even though Kittles is probably the better blocking tight end, I just feel like if you need a playmaker, you're going to go to Kelsey, right? I don't know if Kittle has, eventually he will, but I don't know that he has the know-how, the IQ to get the separation from the
for sure.
back. I want to see that because I feel like he has that against linebackers. I want to see it against D-backs, and I think that, when you talk about Kansas City, they were up there ranked in defense for receiving. So I want to see Kittle shine, but Kansas City has a really, really good defensive backup. So I think Kelsey is going to take it as far as tight ends is concerned. Ron, offensive line, who you giving to?
I would have said San Francisco. I think they had some injuries, so I had this even. I think there's some question marks for both these teams in terms of the offensive line. San Francisco, like I said, I think there's some injuries there. For Kansas City, what's his name? Their tackle, the right tackle, has been like one of the worst right tackles in terms of penalties, at least all season, right? Jawan Taylor, he's been atrocious. So there's some question marks to me along the offensive line for both teams. So I got them rated.
I went with Kansas City, and only because there's a glaring stat when I looked at the postseason, just the postseason alone, that they don't give up a lot of sacks for Patrick Mahomes. Now, I know that has to do with how good Patrick Mahomes is good at, elusive. He makes people miss, but I like the fact that your quarterback is not getting hit when he's going back to pass. When it comes to running the ball, yes, I think San Francisco has an advantage, but again, I don't know if this game is going to be so close that it's going to be up to who can protect the other quarterback more. And I think Kansas City can do that. Let's switch over to the defense. Ron, who do you have as better linebacker?
Hands down in San Francisco. I don't think it's even a question. San Francisco has the probably best linebacking crew in the league. Baltimore's probably right up there with them as well. But I got to give San Francisco with Fred Warner. I think that dude.
Yeah, I think San Francisco has the better linebackers. Warner, Highsmith. I feel like they're out to prove that Pacheco cannot run on them. So I want to see. I'm gonna expect Kansas City to do a lot of like switcheroos and a lot of like reverses and a lot of stuff, because if they're just gonna run the ball, they're gonna run into the good linebackers. So I like San Francisco linebackers. Ron, who do you have the advantage for cornerbacks?
I gave that to San Francisco. I'm a big fan of their defensive backs, especially Javarius Ward. I think that dude is the real deal. Now, I know he's been up and down a little bit the last couple weeks, but I just think, as far as their defensive backs, cornerback included, I think they have a slight advantage in this matchup.
I gave the defensive backs, I gave it to Kansas City because they were ranked the number 2 defense overall behind the Ravens. And it wasn't because of their running ability. You can run in Kansas City. You can run on them. It was the defensive backs. They were McDuffie. I think he's a Pro Bowler. I don't know. Oh, you know what? Let me just stop here because something just came in my mind. When I was at the Pro Bowl, I don't know why this happened. There was a very inebriated cowboy. Very inebriated. And he came up to me and he was like, "Hey, I don't see Dak." And I was like, "I don't know what to tell you, man. He didn't show up. But his name is on the roster. I don't see him." And I was like, "He's just not here." And he was with his boys, and I think they were like Houston Texans fans. And his boys would clown him like, "Hey, Dak is not here. Dak is not here." Finally, really loud, I was like, he must have thought today was a playoff game, so he didn't show up. And boy,
did he start swinging at you or something?
He left. He was so embarrassed that he left because basically it's true. Like, sorry, he doesn't show up in the playoffs. So, anyways, that was
that's hilarious.
Yes, Cowboys fans, you know. What I was saying, Ron, is they have a better secondary. So I'm gonna go with Kansas City with that. Safeties, Ron. What do you got?
Yeah, I got them even here. I think both teams have decent safeties. I think they have different styles and how they play. But I see this as a pretty even matchup.
Yeah, I think the safeties, I give it to Kansas City. I know that they took care of Lamar. They took care of Josh Allen. I trust them. Who do you have for a D-line?
I got this even too. I think San Francisco on paper, they have a great defensive line, right? But like Chase Young isn't the Chase Young I think we expected him to be. And then Nick Bosa, he's been great, right? I don't want to say anything anything negative about him, but I look at the other side, and I think Kansas City, if you look at not just Chris Jones, but what George Karlaftis, I think that's how you pronounce his last name, what they've been able to do along their D front too. I think these teams along the D line are both pretty impressive.
Yeah, I like Chris Jones. But I like San Francisco D-line better. I know Chase Young has been kind of a disappointment. I even saw somebody tweeted that he's taking plays off.
Oh, yeah.
So I was just like, wow, somebody's watching every play. Nick Bosa, I don't know if he's injured or not, but I just feel like he can play better. He can elevate better. And we'll talk about, Steve Wilkes. When Robert Saleh was there, I think he had the defensive line on point. I can't say the same for Steve Wilkes. I want him to succeed so bad, but I don't know. He can't get them to dominate. I mean, they're good. Don't get me wrong, but I want them to dominate. Ron, what do you have for special teams? What do you like for the kickers?
Yeah, that's easy. Kansas City has the better kicker. I think San Francisco is looking to even get rid of their kicker.
I mean,
several
he missed
times
last week.
So it's Kansas City has an advantage there for sure.
Yeah, Kansas City for sure. Returners, what do you got?
I got this even. I think both returners are pretty decent. I think they average about the same in terms of return, 11.1, 11.2. I think they're pretty equal there.
Yeah, this could be a toss-up. I mean, I have Kansas City, but this could be a toss-up. Coaches, who do you have?
Yeah, talked a little bit, I think, before we record. I think both these coaches are great coaches. Andy Reid has already sort of supplanted his name in the Hall of Fame, but I think Shanahan has been working his way there. He just has to cross over that hump. I mean, I got these both coaches at both being even.
I'm going to give the edge to Kansas City only because I remember when we did this last year and we were talking about coaches, and I was like, Kansas City coaches have the experience, man. This is a Super Bowl, extra long halftime. Anything can happen now. I know Kyle Shanahan has been there before, but I feel like Andy Reid has the advantage. Spagnuolo with the defense has the advantage. I just like Kansas City more when it comes to the coaches.
I think experience is important. It's important to coaches to have that for sure. It's more important for players to have that. And that's where I think there's an advantage to one side of the team. And I think we'll get into our predictions in a minute. But Kyle Shanahan is a good coach. I think if you were to throw Mahomes and his team, we're talking about San Francisco, how good they are and how much of a dynasty they have. So, it is what it is. I think these are both really good coaches. Reid has been in a better situation. It's not trying to take anything away from him. He just happens to have the greatest player, on the planet.
Active. Active. We're going to play active. Let's not go there. Fans run. I mean, who shows up to the Super Bowl? It's mostly like corporations that give the tickets out.
Have you seen the
rich
ticket
people
prices? I think it was like $7,000 to $8,000, the cheapest tickets or some crap like that. It's ridiculous.
That's ridiculous. And you see, if you want to have a private suite, you better buckle up $2.5 million. That's how much it's going to cost for you to have a suite during the Super Bowl. So, I mean, who has this money? And something that I saw last year, Ron, was like the Super Bowl is like the busiest private jet. It was like all the celebrities, whether you're a musician, whether you're an actor, whether you're political, you just take a private jet to wherever the Super Bowl is. Wow, I'm just like
different lifestyle.
Yeah, that's it. All right, Ron. So let's look at this game. San Francisco is quote unquote the visiting team at Kansas City, even though it's Vegas. There's a 1.5 point spread. San Francisco is favored. It's 47.5 over and under. Ron, who do you have winning?
Yeah, so we went through the teams and I kind of hinted that San Francisco, when you go up and down the line, I think they have a better team. Although Kansas City, they're not too far behind as far as team and talent. Having said that, Mahomes is the better player at the most important position, which is quarterback. And you mentioned experience. Kansas City is extremely experienced, not just their coaches, their players. Mahomes is extremely experienced. It doesn't matter if he's down at halftime and how much he's down by. You can't ever count him out. Now, it's not to say San Francisco can't do the same thing. I just haven't really seen it yet from them. And I don't know if I can even expect that from a second-year player in Brock Purdy. I think Kansas City has an advantage with their personnel and with their coaches just having that experience. Even though San Francisco might have slightly better players, I got Kansas City winning, but I have them winning a close one, 26-23.
Who do you have winning the MVP, Super Bowl MVP?
I got Mahomes winning the MVP.
So I agree with everything you just said. They have experience, they have coaches, they have the players. But when I was looking at like Kansas City defense and I was like, who have they played and who has the most, like the better offenses during the year? And I'm just going to see, because I'm going to read to you, Ron, and see if there's a trend. The number 1 offense, Dallas Cowboys. Number 2 offense, Los Angeles Rams. Number 3 offense, Detroit Lions. Number 5 offense, San Francisco 49ers. So what I'm saying is, when I look at this and I go, wait, Kansas City defense, they haven't played a top tier offense. Now, San Francisco has a better roster, not the better QB, just the better roster. So This is going to be a close game. I'm picking San Francisco to win it. And this has nothing to do with the Taylor Swift connection. I know there's rumors that she's driving the conservatives crazy. Listen, I love it. I love it. If we really think that the CIA and Taylor Swift are all in kahunas with the NFL for this, go at it. Go crazy. Go crazy. But I have San Francisco and I have them winning 17-24. Listen, I know that there's 1.5 spread for San Francisco. I just feel like if Brock Purdy gives the ball to CMC and Kittle and Debo and Ayuk, this is a very winnable game. Very winnable game. Now, I do expect San Francisco not to come out and do the do the zone defense, because I feel like Pat Mahomes is just gonna eat it up. But do they have the horses to play man? That's what I wanted.
Yeah, it's gonna be tough.
And it's gonna be tough.
You talked about matchups and stuff like that, and who San Francisco's played all this year. That stuff to me isn't as important as what I see with my eyes. I saw San Francisco on Christmas get their doors knocked off of them by the Ravens, right? They got blown out by the Ravens. And then I saw Kansas City beat the Ravens pretty handily too. So, I think Kansas City, when their backs are up against the wall and when it counts and when it matters, they're that team, maybe not the best team, but the team that's not going to make any mistakes at all because they're the most experienced team. And that by itself, along with having like I said, the greatest active quarterback in the league, that'll get them over the hump. And I think things for San Francisco, in order for them to win, Purdy's going to have to make a play at some point. I don't know. He's not going to get away with those mistakes. You talked about Kansas City secondary. Mistakes he made in the last game against Detroit. He threw up like a couple passes that should have been interceptions.
Drop, yep.
That's not going to happen this week. I don't think it will. But and it's not to say San Francisco can't win. They're the favorites. They can. Like I said, I think they got more talent. I just think Mahomes is just on another level. He'll will them to a victory.
Listen, my mind saying this should be the Chiefs game, and even in the money line for this game, obviously, if you take the money line and you go with the Chiefs, you're gonna spend more money, but as opposed to San Francisco. But, and this is a big but, I want people to stop comparing Mahomes to all the great quarterbacks, because they compare him to Montana, they compare him to Tom Brady, they even compare him to who's that guy, that Dan Marino. They even compare it to him. Listen, he's not there yet. 2 Super Bowls is not there yet. Is he the best active quarterback that we have? Yes. Is he the face of the NFL? Yes. All that is true. I'm not going to take that away from him. But comparing him to the greats, he's not there yet. He's not there yet. And that to me is an issue that is, could be resolved by San Francisco winning, because obviously. And
what if they don't? At what point, I guess, do you put him in that conversation? Because I honestly think Mahomes,
when he wins his 7th Super Bowl, we can talk.
One of the greatest. I don't think he's the greatest, but one of the.
And you know what Sports
10.
Illustrated did this week? They did a top 25 quarterbacks in the Super Bowl. Mahomes didn't crack 20. He was like 25th, 24th. And you know what? I kind of agree with that. There's been some Super Bowl games where he's laid an egg. Laid an egg against Tampa. Laid an egg, against this San Francisco team. The first half, he was not there. And in the second half, he got saved by a Tariq play.
But you were saying yourself, Tom Brady, there's been some Super Bowls where...
Well, he has 7 of them.
Yeah, it's true. Seven.
He only has 2.
That's what I'm saying. At what point does he need to get to 7?
He needs to get to 7. He needs to win 7 Super Bowls for me to say, like, oh, he's on the Mount Rushmore of quarterbacks.
Well, Mount Rushmore is how many quarterbacks? Top 3?
Mount Rushmore should be top 4.
Top 4?
Who is your top 4? No doubt, this guy, you put him in, he's going to win the big game for you. He's not there yet.
No, I wouldn't say he's there,
but I feel
he's
like
working his way there.
He's working his way there, and I feel like there's people that are crowning him. Already.
Yeah. I get that.
And I know that it's for entertainment, it's for clicks, whatever.
It's recency bias too.
Yes,
that's what it comes out to.
Our friend Steve said, Kansas City's winning, so maybe there's a lot of haters out there. But the difference between Kansas City fans and New England Patriot fans is like, Kansas City fans, they want to be liked. They can't really stand with so much hate that's thrown to them because they're winning. New England Patriot fans, they love the hate. They wanted the hate. They were like, hate us more. It just embodies us more to like run away with this thing.
He's right. Any team, it doesn't matter who you are. No one wants to see a dynasty, right? Unless you're on that, you're rooting for that team. People hate dynasties. They don't want to see one team just dominating the league because then they feel like their team never has a chance.
Know what? Dynasties are here to stay no matter what. And the only people that like dynasties is when their team is in a dynasty.
Right. That's exactly what I'm saying.
Winning. But you have to respect the dynasty. You have to respect the fact that they have the best players, the best coaches. They have, a front office that does put in the work. Staying on top is not an easy thing.
No, not at all.
Not at all. So
both teams though have reasons to be hated, right? There's lots of reasons. We've talked about them before to hate the Patriots, right? Spygate, Deflategate, whatever. There's lots of reasons to hate the Chiefs, and take Taylor Swift out of it. But like all the off the field stuff, Andy Reid's son, now Mahomes' father, that team just seems like so dysfunctional, outside of football. It's like, why is this being celebrated? But I think both of these teams, people you're gonna either love them or you're gonna hate them. And I think there's a lot of haters for both of those teams because they were winning,
just listen. If they're haters are gonna hate. I just want the Kansas City fans to embrace it. Patriot fans embraced the hate. They loved it. The more haters came, the more the better. I feel like, at least, I don't know too many Kansas City fans, but the ones that I do know, they're just like, they're like in shock. They're like, what? We're such nice people in Kansas City. Like, why they hate us? They hate you because you're winning. Plain and simple. You're winning.
Yes. That's a big part of it, for sure.
That's a big part of it.
There's things I don't like about Kansas City. It has nothing to do with them winning so much. Although I do, like I mentioned before, I get mad when one team's winning all the time. But like the off the field stuff to me has been alarming, and we don't spend enough time talking about Andy Reid's son or Patrick Mahomes' dad. Like, it was barely mentioned. I know they asked Mahomes this week at the Super Bowl, stuff, that they had this week, but that should be, that's something. I know it's personal, but I feel like a lot of that stuff gravitates towards that team for some reason, and I don't know why that is, but there's a lot of that going on that team.
Well, humans are going to be humans, right? They're going to make errors. They're going to make, bad decisions. But when you talk about Deflategate, when you talk about Spygate, those weren't human errors. Those were like legit competition. Like, hey, we want to leg up. Those were not like, oops, I did it again type thing. Those were calculated, things that happened. Yeah. I can see why the league, I can see why Roger Goodell said, you know what, we're just going to take draft picks because you guys broke the rules. You can't really say that to the Kansas City. You can't go to Pat Mahomes and say, we're going to take draft picks because your dad is an alcoholic.
No, not draft picks. But I can say, I'm tired of seeing your damn brother.
Well, that's
Mahomes up on the screen.
Be mad with the networks. Don't be mad at Kansas City.
Mahomes' brother is a freaking, sexual assault
Again, that has nothing to do with.
But I don't show
football,
them.
though.
Then don't show them 24/7. I don't want to see Taylor Swift every 2 seconds. I have nothing against Taylor Swift. I don't want to see her every 2 seconds. I don't want to see Mahomes' brother. I don't want to see this week on Sunday or hear anything about Mahomes' dad being arrested, right, for DUI or whatever. I don't want to hear any of that. I just don't, because that turns me off from that team. And but
so you're not mad at Kansas City itself. You're just mad at these people's behavior.
I think it's the culture. There's something going on there. One's like okay, this happened. This person has some situation. When you have like multiple situations like that, it's like, what type of environment are you fostering? Like, why are you allowing this? You would never hear that in Pittsburgh. I think this is where maybe I got spoiled. You would never hear of stuff like that in Pittsburgh just being put. And it's not to say it doesn't happen. It just wouldn't be like in broad daylight in public. Antonio Brown, all the stuff that he went through, none of that came out until he was off the team.
I think you have different, front office, how they run their stuff is different than other teams. Some teams make it public, some teams keep it in-house. Listen, I don't have no problem with that, because that doesn't affect football and how they play on the football field. I don't know what his fourth DUI. Listen, the guy likes to get drunk.
Yeah, that's cool. But guess what? If you're Patrick Mahomes, don't bring him up on the field. That's all I'm saying. Don't have him out on the field. Don't bring your brother out. Like,
again, that's up to the front office to allow that.
Just don't do it.
That's up to the front office to allow that. And what kid is looking at Pat Mahomes Sr. and going, I want to be like him?
Nobody.
Nobody. So, listen, he has his own demons. Let him deal with the demons. So we have this game on Sunday. You're coming over. Some people are coming over. And we're just gonna let things be things. So this is not related to football. I know Usher is a halftime show. Do you know what song he's gonna kick it off to? Or do you even know Usher's album catalog? So because it goes way back.
Yeah, I know. So he's been around for a minute.
Mm-hmm.
My wife was asking me, are we going to play that Super Bowl game? Guess what songs? I'm sure we will. I don't know what he's going to play. I haven't gotten there yet. I think he has like a wide array of songs that he can choose from.
What are the chances P. Diddy actually shows up?
I don't think that's going to happen. That's definitely not going to happen.
I have a guess, and this is not what I'm telling here. It might change later, but I feel like he's gonna go back to 1994, his first album. I think he was 15 or 13. He was really, really young, but he had a number one hit. I think it's not You Remind Me. That is the song that I feel like he's gonna open. You Remind Me.
Okay, well, we'll play that. We'll play some games.
Yeah, we'll play some kind of.
We'll definitely throw that out to like our family and stuff. I'm sure everyone's gonna have some input.
I'm sure his women are gonna be like glued to the TV. Yeah, so that's it. And then do you actually want to do an instant reaction show because you're over, or should we actually do another show and just talk about the Super Bowl?
Yeah, I think we close it out with another show, talk about the Super Bowl, close out the season, and then just kick off a little bit about next year, what to expect. We probably won't have a show till, I don't know when, after the draft maybe? Or are we going to have something leading up to the draft?
We'll do a show pre-draft and we'll do a show post-draft. But those shows are going to be audio only. So, whatever platform that you listen to this, make sure you subscribe, because those are going to be audio only. And then once the season kicks off 2024, we'll go back to video and audio.
Yeah, so we'll close it out next week. Maybe we'll record earlier if possible.
Yes.
Not wait till Thursday. Let's just do it. So it's more, instant reaction, like the next day or something. And yeah, and then that's really it. Well, by then we'll know the awards too. You mentioned it's being played right now, so we'll be able to talk through who won all the awards.
Okay.
Yeah, so that'll be the plan for next week.
Sounds good to me. So, in that case, I'm gonna close it out and let's go Niners. You can do it.
So you're rooting for the Niners?
Oh, I want the Niners to win.
Yeah.
I want Kyle Shanahan to dust off. I don't want him to go 0-2 because this could be devastating. If Andy Reid loses, he'll be like, "Oh well, I guess I have a cheeseburger."
I'll be back next year.
Yeah,
basically.
I'll be back next year. But if Kyle Shanahan loses his game, oh man,
I don't want San Francisco to get 6 and tie Steelers.
Oh, you're talking about like championships? Yeah. No, they're gonna be up there with the Patriots if they get 6. So, listen, the Niners. It's not like the Cowboys where they basically, when the playoffs come, they stink. I think the Niners have been working, and I like John Lynch and I like Kyle Shanahan, but I want them to win and just smack Patrick Mahomes, him and his dad and his brother. Just smack them. I like Taylor Swift. Hey, I hope that she's going to be there. So, yes, that's all.
Oh, well, I just hope for a good game. I wish it was Detroit and the Ravens we're talking about. Kansas City did their part. Detroit blew their game. San Francisco's here. San Francisco needs to take advantage of that, but I think they'll fall short. But I expect and hope for a good game on Sunday, regardless.
Okay. Well, in that case, I say peace.
Peace.
Hey, guys. Thanks again for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Any questions or comments, feel free to hit us up on Shut Your Mouth Podcast at gmail.com. That's shutympodcast@gmail.com. You can also hit us on Twitter or on Instagram at SYM Podcast. Thanks again.